All right, today we're diving deep into the heart, but maybe not in the way you're thinking. We're going to explore a completely new way to understand our most vital organ, not just by looking at its electrical signals, but by actually listening to its hidden mechanical language.
So let me just start with a big question. What if we could actually hear the very first subtle signs of heart disease, long before it ever shows up on a traditional scan? And no, this isn't science fiction. It's the whole idea behind a technology that listens to the acoustic signature of the heart itself.
But before we can really understand what a sick heart sounds like, we first have to appreciate the absolute genius of a healthy one and its perfect, incredibly adaptable rhythm.
At the very core of this rhythm is this beautiful principle called the Starling mechanism. And the amazing thing about it is just how simple it is. Think of your heart muscle like a rubber band. The more you stretch it by filling it with blood, the more forcefully it's going to snap back. This is what allows your heart to perfectly match its output to whatever your body needs, whether you're fast asleep or running a marathon. It's just a brilliant, self-regulating system. Okay, so that's the ideal. But what happens when that perfectly elastic, responsive muscle starts to change? This is where our story takes a turn, and we introduce this silent process that really starts to undermine the heart's natural strength. Well, there's this process called cardiac remodeling. See, when the heart is under stress from something like a heart attack or chronic high blood pressure, the muscle actually starts to change its own structure to cope. You can almost think of it like a silent saboteur working in the background, making the heart walls thicker, stiffer, and a whole lot less efficient. And look, the fallout from this remodeling is huge. The heart muscle can thicken up, that's called hypertrophy, or it can develop this stiff, scar-like tissue, which we call fibrosis. This makes the heart way less compliant, or in other words, it just doesn't stretch like it used to. So that brilliant Starling mechanism we just talked about, it gets completely thrown out of whack. The heart just can't contract as forcefully or efficiently anymore, and that is a direct path straight to heart failure. So that's the big problem, right? How in the world do you catch this silent saboteur early? Well, the answer brings us to the real breakthrough at the center of this explainer, listening for the mechanical truth of how the heart is actually performing. For decades, we've relied on tools like the EKG, right? Which measures the heart's electrical activity. You can think of an EKG as the heart's blueprint. It shows the instructions for the muscle to contract. But acoustic cardiography is totally different. It's like putting a seismograph on the chest. It measures the actual mechanical function, the force, the timing, the vibrations. It's not the plan, it's the real-world performance.
And this right here is the new language we're learning to speak. Acoustic cardiography gives us these key biomarkers. You've got EMAT, which tells us exactly how forcefully the heart is squeezing. Then there's LVST, which measures how long and efficient that squeeze is. And we can even hear these tiny extra sounds, S3 and S4, which are like these little audible warnings that the heart muscle has gotten stiff. Let's just focus on EMAT for a second, because this is a total game changer. EMAT, or electromechanical activation time, isn't some estimate or a guess based on something else. It is a direct, non-invasive measurement of the heart's actual contractile force. For the first time, we can measure the engine's true power without ever having to open up the hood. And when you have data that is this direct, this powerful, it has the potential to become something much, much bigger. A brand new gold standard in how we care for the heart. Just look at this number. Studies are showing that these acoustic biomarkers have a sensitivity of over 85% in detecting the earliest signs of cardiac remodeling. That means they can hear these dangerous changes long before many other tools can even see them. It's incredible.
And what's just as important for the patient? It is 100% non-invasive. We're talking no needles, no radiation, no catheters, just a simple sensor that listens. And that means it can be done over and over, frequently and safely, allowing for constant, real-time monitoring.
Now, this kind of power really forces us to step back and ask a tough question. The source material puts it perfectly. The gold standard deserves critical examination. For a long, long time, the go-to has been echocardiography, which uses ultrasound. But is it really the best we can do? When you put them side by side, the comparison is pretty stark. Echocardiography gives you estimates from images, which can have errors. And, this is crucial, they're open to subjective interpretation. Two different technicians can get two different results. Acoustic cardiography, on the other hand, gives you objective, direct mechanical data. It's highly reproducible, and it doesn't have imaging issues.
It really is the difference between an opinion and a measurement. Okay, so what does this all add up to? What does the future of heart care actually look like with this kind of technology? Well, it means we can finally move from being reactive to being truly proactive, guided by precise, personalized data. Let's take a real-world example. Someone recovering from bypass surgery. Instead of some generic one-size-fits-all rehab plan, we can now create a truly personalized one. We can get a baseline of their heart's mechanical function before they start, track their recovery with regular measurements, and use that objective data to know exactly when it's safe to push them harder in physical therapy. It's a completely transparent, data-driven recovery.
Or think about a cancer patient going through chemo. Some of those life-saving drugs can be really toxic to the heart. With acoustic monitoring, we can spot the very first signs that the heart isn't contracting as well, allowing doctors to step in and protect the heart before any permanent damage is done. So ultimately, what we're looking at here is a genuine paradigm shift. This technology has incredible prognostic value. It lets us predict problems before they even happen, it makes truly personalized medicine a reality, and it challenges all of us to redefine the gold standard for measuring the heart's most basic, most important job, its ability to contract. And that brings us right back to where we started, but with a whole new perspective. By tapping into the heart's own acoustic signature, we are gaining a level of understanding that we've just never had before. Which leaves us with one last thing to think about. Is it possible that the future of medicine is less about looking at fuzzy images and more about simply listening to the clear mechanical truth?